we had to talk about 2 NFL injuries that not only changed this NFL season, obviously the biggest injuries you could possibly imagine. The best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, has torn his ACL. Got to get deep into that. We've been talking a lot lately about the downfall of the Chiefs. We've been saying last week that the dynasty is over. Now they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. And Patrick Mahomes has an ACL tear that will potentially affect next season.
Yeah, this dynasty is done. And like whether or not, because obviously the main conversation everyone is having right now is like, wow, look how much he's like tracking with Brady, that even like the ACL injury happens in like this specific year of their career and they miss the playoffs, and then you have all this, and then there's like the second act of the dynasty that happens. But there's so like even within the Patriots run, you never really questioned whether or not Bill Belichick was like the right guy to be at the helm of the Patriots. Like you kind of knew that defensively he was going to do everything personnel wise in terms of managing contracts, everything, this whole do your job, right? The program that they were running was super, super solid. And they could go out and find any white boy who was playing lacrosse and put him at wide receiver and it would work. It feels much different now with the conversation that we've been having around Andy Reid and trying to figure out like, okay, the last 2 years, Mahomes has looked a little bit worse than what he has, previously. He's had to up his usage. Like, I feel like this iteration of the Chiefs, if you're just comparing it 1-to-1 with the Patriots, feels much more up in the air in terms of where do we go for a second act.
Oh, it's certainly reasonable to feel that way, right? Like, especially when you can't help but view the Patriots thing in hindsight. Maybe if we were 8 years old when it was first falling apart, which not even falling apart. They missed the playoffs. They didn't have quite as low a floor as we're seeing now with the Chiefs in terms of, I don't even know if they're gonna be 500. Like it's gonna be tough. I think that reloading of talent we saw the Patriots go through, getting a Gronk in the draft to ignite your second wind, getting an Edelman late in the round to ignite your second wind. Those are the type of moves that make it so we look back several years, even now, 15, 20 years on the line and say, oh, they barely lost a step. They just reloaded, right? Most teams don't do that. Most teams that have a dynasty kind of eventually fizzle out after 6 or 7 years dominating. It just does that. It fizzles out. And you pretty much usually have to tear it down, or you're going to be a shell of yourself. You even look in basketball, the Warriors, right now, they're just a shell of themselves. They're still playing the same type of style. They've reloaded some ways, but they can't reach those heights because they didn't find a new Iguodala. They didn't find a new version of their stars that are old now. There's no guarantee that they find their Rob Gronkowski in the draft. So this might be the end.
I mean, thankfully, as we speak currently, I hope like everyone just shuts this shit down right now. I think they're projected to get the 12th pick in the NFL draft, which is very, very useful, very helpful. They could grab up a fucking new tight end, whether it be tight end or running back, whether it be I think his name is Caleb Love or anyone of that nature. And on top of that too, shit, bruh, like this is just the greatest moment for. I'm not gonna say coaches, but more so fans, because now you get a chance to finally like rest. You don't have no more hope. You have no expectations, and now you can, similar to the Warriors. Hopefully, it's not the Warriors situation. The Warriors had an opportunity back in the 2020, 2021 NBA draft to fully re-up, and they had lottery picks. Chiefs are in the same situation scenario. Hopefully, they move a lot quicker and just completely tear down this philosophy. Look for someone who's a true X and go away from their old ways and. Maybe not even fully go away from your old ways, but at least like evolve your offensive system. It's a lot of the same conversations that we had last week in our episode, but this time around, everything just looks dire.
Exactly. We talked about it at length as of late. They have so many holes in the roster. A lot of people are seeing the 12th position in the draft you mentioned and saying, perfect spot to go get a wide receiver, to go get a running back, get the guy from Notre Dame. There's so many flashy positions that people want to say that can be their Gronk, that can be their Edelman, give the second win like I mentioned. They are not in the position to only be taking glamorous positions, though. They have a lot of holes up and down the roster. Their edge room is not good. Chris Jones is the lifeblood of that pass rush, only getting older. Same thing with Kelsey, only getting older. And we've seen the receiver room kind of die as he kind of was no longer one of the more dominant players at his position. That's around the corner of Chris Jones, too. So they need to address the defensive line. Nick Bolton hasn't necessarily been the best player in the world given the salary. The linebacker room could use some additions. We know they lost Justin Reed. They lost McDuffie. They lost, not McDuffie, my bad. They lost Snead over the years. All these guys that at one point when they were winning these championships with this stacked secondary, that has really dwindled down. Look up and down the roster. Outside of offensive line and quarterback, all the holes in the world to be addressed still in that draft.
Yeah, and the good part with football and like part of the reason why they're here is because they haven't had those transformational drafts, but if you have a version of your 2024 draft that the Eagles had, where you're coming off of a 23 season that is like your defense absolutely sucks. You go and you change coordinators, and then it's the most like surface level way of like how to fix your dynasty. It's like, bro, just draft good players. Like just hit on your draft picks. But that really is like the only mode that they have right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting also that they could have had Mahomes even in this game, and just based off of like what the Chiefs have done this year, they could have very well been in the same, in the same spot they were down whenever he left. But 6-8, you might end up getting a top 10 pick. And so now you have this pick, you're gonna have a high draft pick. Presumably next year, if Mahomes misses times, which for the way that the Chiefs have operated, they've always been very conservative around Mahomes in terms of like his injuries and stuff. So okay, he's probably not going to start week 1. You're going to lose some games.
That's the real talking point here.
It would not be smart, I think. And if he's different, then he's different, right? If he's Adrian Peterson and he can come back in 6 months and then throw for 5,000 yards, then he is that. I don't know if that's like the smartest thing to bet on right now.
Well, there's no way to know right now.
Yeah.
Because with these ACL injuries, obviously they're not the boogeymen they once were. They're not out here destroying careers like it did back in even 2011 with Derrick Rose, all the years before that. For decades of pro sports in every single league, an ACL tear was the death of an athlete. Now it's kind of the Achilles tear that has replaced that. So, logically he should be fine. Not a guarantee. And I think now the ranges of recovery are anywhere from 6 to 12 months, depending on the severity. Micah Parsons, who we're going to talk about soon, it was reported that he's going to need 9 months or so. That's what they're thinking about, given the state of the tear, what the surgery was like the next day, etc. I think we're still waiting to find details about Patrick Mahomes. Like you said, hopefully it's closer to AP coming back in 6 months because it's the cleanest break and everything goes well. Not a guarantee, though. And that definitely affects the entirety of next year, right? Because not only may he miss some games and you start off with some losses on the board, worst case scenario, does he come back 100% right away, having that whole time rehabbing? Like, basically the entirety of next year could be affected, I think.
I can understand that, but going by the recent history, at least, remember back in, I think the year was 2022, Kyler Murray tore his ACL December 12th. He came back. He had surgery a month later, came back over the course of the year, and I think he showed up November 11th.
Yep.
Long ass time. That sucks. But also going back even further than that, there's Joe Burrow, who tore his ACL in 2020, and he injured himself November 22nd. He came back. And he played, he played week 1 and he didn't miss any games. So recent history and even further than that shows that he should be A-okay because those guys came back just fine. Minus Kyler Murray, of course, he's like his own different player or whatever. But Joe Burrow looks completely fine. I'm hoping that if it bleeds in and it's like week 4 or 5, that's when we get to really scary conversations. But if it's just week 1, 2, and he's back around that time, it'll be okay.
Yeah. I think the interesting part about this is like, is such a clear, like this era of our team is over.
Yep.
And we have to start new. Where do we want to go? How do we want to do this? And we've seen in the years that Mahomes has been here, you've seen 2 versions of the Chiefs. You've seen this like high flying offense. And remember, like in 2018, their defense was trash.
Yep.
Like their offense was amazing, but that offense and Mahomes was carrying everything and driving that ship. And then you transition post Tyreek Hill to a much more defense oriented thing. I think for them, if I'm rebuilding this team, I would start offensively
for sure, 100%.
with how you're doing this, because as not only like his defense more volatile and like on a year-to-year basis, you also don't know what Spags' future is like, but the situation that led Mahomes into where we are now, which is not only are we not winning games, but you're putting so much on his plate. You're asking him to also lead the team in rushing and forcing him to be the superhero, right? Like, I don't want you to have to feel the need to do that anymore, right? I want you to be able to drop back, sit in the pocket, distribute to everybody, go be Patrick Mahomes, go be the playmaker. I don't need you to have to feel like you are the savior, to where now every single week we see you throwing your shoulder into somebody, trying to run somebody over. We see you trying to, put your foot in the ground, trying to juke. I don't need that. Let's try and build up this offense again so that bare minimum, we can at least have fun again.
And not even just, I don't want you to be superhero. I think they need to make sure that they can get the value of Patrick Mahomes by giving him ample resources, ample weapons, protection, play calling to be an elite quarterback. I think the thought process around elite quarterbacks, really post Brady, has morphed into you can decide to pay less money to your weapons, less money to your line, etc., because you think your quarterback is so good that he can compensate for that. We'll put the money into defense. That was the Patriots' MO. That's how Bill Belichick was able to always yield elite defenses while Brady handles the offense with whatever's left over in the cap sheet, right? That makes sense when you start from a point of already being a champion team and you need to slowly lose some parts. It makes sense to lose those parts with the weapons. They're starting from ground zero. They got to get back to being regular again, and being back to regular offensively means giving Patrick Mahomes some playmakers. This season, he had nothing easy given to him. You look at all the elite quarterbacks, all the elite players around the league, they have people on their team that can give them some easy ones, usually, except for Josh Allen, who's also making do right now. But
even him, a great offensive line, a great running game that gives you something that you can fall back on, where it's not I have to throw the ball 55 times every single week.
And like you mentioned, Joe Burrow came back looking great. It's super swell to come back looking great when you have Jamar and T to be able to give you that floor, to be able to help you play at your best, because you're not trying to get every single play out the mud with your legs, with your arm, having deep balls to players that can't go up and win strong, trying to get these tight window intermediate throws to guys who can't create separation. Give him some assistance so next year he doesn't have to come back post ACL and still be a god.
By the time he comes back, Kareem Hunt better not be taking 3rd-and-1 snaps to get these short yardage situations. They better have figured out a way to go and revamp their running game.
Tyquan Thornton better not be your best deep threat. You better have somebody large that can catch the ball 20 yards on the field. That's not him.
Yeah, man. I don't know if there's a single front office in all of sports right now, at least basketball, football, who is under more pressure than the Kansas City Chiefs, because you only have one go around. In my mind, I view this as like damn near a blessing in disguise, because you need to tear everything down. Everyone knows that. That's not new information. Now, hopefully, Gardner Minshew lands you, guides you, torpedoes you into shit, maybe even worse than the fucking potential 12th overall.
They got 3 more games to lose. They can get to number 9 or something. I don't know.
I hope so, bro.
But yeah, we'll continue to talk about them all summer, obviously. But again, the title of this clip, the thing we're starting this episode with, is 2 injuries that completely drastically changed the course of this NFL season. And this one might be even bigger given what is at stake for this team. Micah Parsons has in fact torn his ACL and is out for the 2025 season. The MRI confirmed. And we actually have some update on the timeline. He faces a 9-month recovery at least. Damn. That is disastrous. And we talked a few weeks ago about the Colts when Daniel Jones got hurt. Oh my God. DEFCON 1. This is the worst case scenario. We gave up multiple first round picks because we thought this was the year to go all in and try to win our division, make a run. We may never have an offense as dominant as we have this year with Daniel Jones leading it, right? Daniel Jones goes down. All that goes up in smoke. You lose your quarterback position. As an offensive-oriented team, you have no hope. This isn't quite that because you still have Jordan Love. So you still have the guy at the helm. You still have the ability on that side of the ball. We are damn close to that, though, given the fact they also obviously give up multiple first-round picks to go all in this year. And not only did they do that to go all in, Micah Parsons is a difference between them being very good and just not even very good, them being a regular good playoff team versus a contender that can really win the Super Bowl. Him alone moves the needle to that degree. You add in the fact Tucker Kraft got hurt. You add in the fact that Devontae Wyatt is already hurt. Zach Tom went down in this game. Some of these injuries might not be as season-ending as Micah Parsons. Christian Watson as well, who
was
will be
hospitalized,
okay.
Bro.
Yeah. Up and down the roster now, extreme injuries. Yeah. If you go and pick their top 10 players, like 6 of them are hobbled now, and number 2 and 3 are on there out for the season potentially. This is the worst case scenario possible. I feel bad for Packers fans now.
Yeah.
This is a lost year. This is a huge what if.
Yeah. For me, very much, this is what you call it's plain and simple lost year because of all the names that's fallen down. And of course, like, you can wish for the best, hope for the best, hope the next man up mentality perseveres through. But that's just not going to happen because this position is one of the most impactful positions in the league. Before they played their first game, we were talking about how when they traded for Micah Parsons, we were talking about how this alters their entire fucking defense. This makes their secondary that was shakier already, at least last year, way better because of how much pressure he provides in the front. And now, like, the team was already flawed even with that. And now all your flaws are just there. And now you feel like a middling playoff team, a playoff team that be tough, but no one necessarily sees you going far.
Yeah, like, they straight up had a good chance to win the Super Bowl before. Whether or not they're your favorites to win the Super Bowl, to each their own, right? But they were obviously in the conversation. You couldn't look at someone and say they're crazy if they think the Packers are going to hoist the Lombardi. There is no chance anymore that they win the Super Bowl. Like, in my mind, absolutely zero. And now that's hyperbolic. Anything can happen. As far as on paper, feels like they're pretty goddamn close to zero.
Jordan Love, he needs to call up the representatives at Toyota and say, keep the promotion going. That's what it's going to take, because even whenever like preseason, I think I was the highest on the Packers out of all of us, and a lot of that was based on the idea that like, hey, Jordan Love is probably ready to take a step forward, and he could probably lead this offense. And obviously, that was with a Tucker Kraft. That was expecting that Matthew Golden was really, really going to make an impact on this team. And you look at this offense, and it's still like this wide receiver room. Still a lot of good players, but no great wide receiver.
You know who's emerging is that Christian Watson, who is now injured.
Yeah, and so you don't have that. And I think like for them, I'm with you. I think they are at the point where you have to cross you're in the pool with everybody else. Where basically, to try to get to a Super Bowl, cross your fingers, hope you get the right matchups, hope that something breaks your way and you are able to somehow host a playoff game or go somewhere cold or whatever. But like,
see, that's real optimistic though. I don't even think they're in that range. I think Packers fans are having a funeral right now.
If they end up getting the NFC North, that's the only way that they can get anything.
I don't even know if that matters. Like, I don't know if there's a cross your finger and hope for the right matchup.
Mm-hmm.
There is no right matchup when I don't know what the Zach Tom injury is going to be like. If he's hurt and you have multiple starting linemen banged up now, while not having Tucker Kraft being your short area weapon, and Christian Watson is dealing with something that isn't going to be season ending, but is he going to be 100%? Probably not. I don't know. With that side of the ball already being in flux, and now your hope for an elite defense is completely neutered, I don't know if there's really any way the bracket could break right for them that they'd have a real chance of making the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a triple homicide. You lost one of the best tackles in the fucking league, and on top of that, too, you got nerfed on the defensive. I don't see any way now. The next 3 games, they play the Bears, then they play the Ravens and the Vikings. You're right. They have a favorable schedule, I guess. It's not bad, but it's not a walk in the park. And even if it is a walk in the park, you're getting ready to get hammered once you enter the park.
Triple homicide, man. This is I just named so many players that are injured. I've
never seen this level of injuries happen to like such an important players on teams before in my life.
In such a small this is like truly devastating for Packers fans. Like, this was your year. Like, everything was shaping up so well. Jordan Love has clearly leaped into being a top 10, no debate quarterback, I think, this season. Like, he is clearly ready. Tucker Kraft was having conversations as the best tight end in the NFL. Micah Parsons in conversations outside of Myles Garrett for best defender in the NFL. Everything was going right for you. This sucks.
Hey, man. Sucks to suck.
Football's crazy.
Yeah, it's awful. At least, like, for them, the only good thing is that, like, you obviously, like, you still have Jordan Love and your team is not completely nuked. And so it's not like the value that you're giving the Cowboys with those first round picks is going to drastically change. Like, it's not like these picks are going to go from being, low to mid 20s into now, oh no, you're going to give the Cowboys a top 10 pick. They're probably still going to be in that range, right? They're still a playoff team. That's probably the only silver lining in this is, like, at least we kind of avoided that, but it's still not great that you need to kind of like rebuild or retool, try to still fortify everything on that defense so that it's not just based off of Micah in terms of your ceiling, and then you don't have those options.
Yeah, you still need to get more DBs. Like, it's great that you've had these guys rise from the ashes and give you really, really respectable cornerback play. Like, shout out Nixon's development this year. Outside of him, I don't want those guys to be starting for me next year. I would like to be able to have a stronger outside cornerback at number 2 next year. Having a first round pick would be real helpful for that. And obviously you can deal with that downside of not having that when you have a real chance of winning the Super Bowl. Now that you don't, you're just going to have a long rest of the season where you don't feel like you have hope, then a long summer where you know you're not going to get one of the top guys.
Yeah, this is much worse than the situation happening over there in Kansas City. Like, he'll be back. You have at least the opportunity to revamp through being gifted a top 10, 11, 12 pick or whatever it might be. This is like dead in the middle of what should be your quote unquote run to the Super Bowl.
And it's reported that might take 9 months as a recovery time. So you don't even have the hope that, Mike will be back week 1. We'll be ready to go right away.
He might be.
No. Might be. I doubt it. That's like not on the low end of the recovery time. That's just recovery from the ACL. That's not getting into game shape, all this stuff. Like, if that's a reported time, that sounds to me like it'll probably bleed into the season at least somewhat.
Yeah. I feel so much more shakier about someone like him coming off of ACL tear because obviously he's like way more of an explosive player and he turns out all these types of awkward angles. It's just not good at all. Terrible news.
R.I.P.
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 For
a
real,
championship.
man.
Not
Sad.
window because they can be back next year, but R.I.P. a championship run this year potentially.
Yeah.